Thank you for watching this video. Continuing to watch the series. Uh, what we did in the last video, going over scanning and remediating vulnerabilities, right? That was a very fun video. Can't wait to get into this one where we're going to be configuring and verifying IPv4 and version 6 access list for traffic filtering. It's going to be awesome. So our first exercise is going to consist of configuring a standard and extended access list using IPv version 4 or IP version 4. So ACLs just, use the control permissions for a specific object, right? For example, we need to provide access to a file on the system to a specific user. We can then use the ACL to do this. So what we're going to do first is create some standard access lists in Internet Protocol version 4. So there are two types of access lists, right? Standard and extended. And these access lists can be referred to either by a name or a number. So the difference between these lists is the granularity of the filtering that he provides, right? So let's actually take a look at one. Let's swivel over here, right? So let's configure terminal. Actually, let's lowercase it. Perfect. All right, we're in. All right, so let's take a look at the access list. All right, perfect. And then let's actually get out of here. All right, so we're configuring the access list to only one host, right? We have two options. So either we can use the host keyboard as we have just did, or we can by including the IP address and a wildcard map, which indicates the host, right? So the resulting command would be access list 80 deny, right? Then the IP. And both commands would give us the same result. Now to view the access list we just created, we're just going to enter a few more here. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. Now, all right, so there's an implicit deny, right, at the end of each list, typically. So therefore, we'll need to actually include a permit statement. So if the permit statement is not included, then all traffic will be blocked, right? So what we're going to do is configure the terminal again, right? And with configuring the terminal, we'll have some configuration commands, one per line, of course. So let's do this one here, permit any. All right. I can't spell. Right. Perfect. There we go. So now at this point, the access list is defined, right? So, however, it's not been applied anywhere. So filtering is not yet just taking place yet. So we must bind this access list to an interface. So careful consideration needs to be taken, right, when applying to access list. So it should be placed as close as possible to, or as far away as possible from the source. So, in what direction should it be applied? For example, should we place or put the access list on the interface, like let's say gigabyte Ethernet 0001, what direction, right? So we're going to place the access list on gigabit 01 in the outbound direction. So it'll look something like this. Let's see. Right. There it is. All right. And then let's do the group for outbound. All right. And then let's actually get out of here. Big two. All right, perfect. So now to help us understand directions, right, we can imagine ourselves, let's say, sitting on top of a router, and the marble is the traffic, right? And if the marble is coming towards us, then let's say it's inbound, right? Then the marble is rolling away from you, then and it's outbound. So let's actually swivel over to the regular. That's fine. Let's actually swivel over to another server here, and we're actually going to ping. Actually going to ping here, so let's do that. Open. All right, perfect. So let's see practice lab. Oh, perfect. All right, so now we're getting response. So we take a look at all the access lists, right? We can actually let's actually take a look. Let's see. Perfect. All right, so now we can see from the output here, there's four matches right on the permit any line, right? Actually here on the permit any line, right? So and no matches on the deny, right? Here. So I'm sorry. Well, I guess yeah, it's almost the same IP, but nonetheless, so we can see that no matches on the deny list, right? So examining the configuration again, we realize we can realize that something is wrong here. So if we have this server that has an IP that ends in 16.10, right, then the ping should be denied and not permanent. So why is the incorrect line being matched, right? Right here. So the place of the access list is very important, right? So because the NAT or the network address translation is operating on this router, the source of the address of the server is being translated. And when the packet is in question, is where we're exiting the gigabit Ethernet 0/1 interface on which the access list was applied, it no longer has the IP ending in 10, so as the source address. So it has been translated by the NAT, and therefore we either must change the access list placement or the direction the direction to gigabit 00 inbound, right? So we must modify the access list to match the translated IP list or IP address rather. So the best thing would be to change the placement and the direction. So we're going to remove the access list from the gigabit Ethernet 01 and place it on the 00 with an inbound direction, right? So to do this, let me actually swivel back here. Let's configure the terminal again. Get back in there. Perfect. All right, so let's do this here. Perfect. All right. So no IP access for that group. 10 outbound. I can't spell. Perfect. All right. So let's actually get out of config. Well, let's get out of the if, right? So now we can go. So now we're just in config. We can actually do some. Let's see. All right. Then inbound. Right. Perfect. And then let's get out of the config here. Well, let's get out of the if and then let's get out of the config. So now let's swivel back over. Now that we take a look, now that we've done that, let's swivel back over here. Let's ping it again. Looks like it's going to time out on us. Yep. All right, perfect. So let's head back to Edge here. So let's go back here. All right, so let's take a look at the access list again. Okay. So now that we see there are actually matches, right? Right. Now that we see there are matches for the deny list of the deny line of the access list, meaning that the access list denies the pings that we've just sent. So before we move on to the next exercise, I'm going to actually remove the access group that was applied earlier to the 00. So let's actually configure again. Actually, it's already in there. Okay, let's Perfect. And then let's get out of if I could spell. Let's get out of here and let's get out of the config. All right, perfect. So now I've just completed the creation of the access list of the standard access list. So now we're going to create an extended access list for version 4 of the IP. So now we're just going to create the extended, and we're going to do that with a few different ways. Actually, go back and see. Go back in here and let's do. Let's configure the transmission control for the host. You are correct. You are correct. So let's actually do this as well. And then this is fun. This is fun. Let's do data this time. Perfect. All right. So I love it. All right. So we have to create two access lists, right? Entries because FTP uses two ports, 20 for data and 21 for control information. So for well-known ports, keywords can be used instead of port numbers. So next, within the same access list, right, we're going to need to deny the ICMP to the practicelab.com. So specifically, which corresponds to the IP address of the 172 ending in 10, right? Remember that the ICMP is a protocol. So we're going to type a few commands to take care of this. So let's do, if I could spell, ICMP, let's see, the IP I was talking about, MDN10. So get out of the config. Get back to normal life. All right, perfect. So what I've done now, right? Perfect. I was just taking a look and make sure everything was accurate. So, there is an implicit deny, right, at the end of the list, right? So let's actually, let me see, do, right, pretty much tell me what I did before. So if we did, I did that. Yeah. I figured it would do that. So, yeah. Okay. All right. So now we need to apply the access list to the interface for the 00 inbound. So let's actually do that here. Okay, so let's do, perfect. All right, so let's do, all right, and then let's get out of here. Get out of here too. All right, perfect. So we can only have one access group, right, per interface per direction. So what I just did, I replaced any other inbound access group that had been configured on the interface. So now I'm just going to test the configuration on using this server, right? So I'm going to try to ping it once more, right? Let's find out. All right, so now let's okay, let me get back to what I was doing. All right, perfect. So let's actually do it this way. I'm gonna use FTP. Actually, yeah. Let's do. Okay, so I can rewrite everything. That's fine. Um, actually, you know what? Let me try ping first. Okay, so perfect. All right, so we got what we want. So, um, hmm, okay, not sure if. All right, let's see. There we go. Perfect. So we're logged into FTP. So we're gonna test the connection further by entering the credentials. So finally, I'm going to review the access list once again. So obviously, I'm going to do this here. So let's do it here. Permanent. Okay. All right, perfect. So, all right, so no matches have been registered on line 20 of the access list because no file transfers have been initiated. So port 21, which corresponds to the FTP data keyboard or keyword rather, used for the access transfer files in the FTP. So now before I continue, I'm going to have to remove the access group again that I applied earlier for 400. So let's actually go in here again. There we go. All right, so let's do. Okay. Um, Perfect. So let's get out of here now. Let's get out of if. So let's get out of configure. All right, perfect. So we can actually move on to our next exercise. It's going to be configuring named access list using IP version 4. So first, we're going to configure a named access list by, of course, by using the platform that Edge One. Thank you so much, Edge One. I appreciate you for rocking with me today. So let's configure this terminal again, naturally. All right, so now we're going to IP the access list. Did it, of course, because that's what we have. I'm going to permit the FTP. So now let's permit the FTP host. All right, so let's actually deny ICMP again for the host. Any perfect, and then let's get out of here. Yeah, perfect. So one of the major differences between numbered and named access lists, right, is that named access lists bring you into the access list configuration mode. We can actually input all of your configuration parameters, and this is denoted by the H1 prompt that we have here. So now to view the access list naturally, right, we want to tell it to keep doing that. Naturally, we're going to tell it to show us. Right? So perfect. All right. So now to take a closer look at the access list, we definitely don't have to include the one that permits the FTP data port. But one of the advantages of using the name ACL is we can insert entries into any position of the access list, assuming there's no line number free, right, where we can want to insert a new entry. So the line numbers by default are assigned intent for this purpose. So the new line actors should be placed in existing access. List entries with numbers between 10 and 20. So we need to put the FTP data line at number 15, allowing us to still add more entries above and below at this point in the future. So to do this, got to enter in a few more commands. So of course, naturally, we want to get back into configuring our terminal. All right. So, so now we're in config. Let's take a look at some access lists. And the transfer protocol. And yeah, we're in the proper place. All right. So let's permit some more stuff here. Hey, host, how you doing? Hey, nope, that's not how you spell host. Right. Right. Uh, perfect. All right, so let's get out of here. Now to view the access list once again, of course, naturally, we want to do, let's see, perfect. All right, so take a look at those. So the new entry has been inserted successfully, right? So now to apply the name access list to the interface, we just go back into our configured terminal or configuring terminal. All right, so um, let me, perfect. Now we're done here. All right, perfect. So now again, we need to test the configuration, right? And that's what we're going to use the Windows server to do this. It's 0, 1, right? So actually let me, I'll just not be lazy. All right, so nope. All right. Um, actually, you know what? I could take the lazy way out of this. Waiting. I was waiting. Yep. So it's timed out, but it's still allowing me to. Hmm. Okay, that's probably because of what I did earlier. So now, when troubleshooting connections to the access list, sometimes it's helpful to reset the match counter. So actually go ahead and no, that's not what I want. All right, so this gets so overzealous because I get super excited about doing this, and then mess up. All right, perfect. So now I'm going to issue a command to clear everything up. So perfect. All right, so now the command, it cleared everything out like I mentioned. So to specify the specific access list for which we want to clear counters, we can use the clear IP access list counters, whatever X amount of command, then whatever the X amount is, either the access list number or access list name. So we can actually check to see if the counters have been reset. So we can actually do that by way of, let's see, perfect. All right, so now it's important to see which access lists are being applied to an interface, right? So here's two approaches you can use. You can view the running configuration, right, of the interface in question, right? And perfect. All right. So second, we can also use the show IP command, interface command, right? So this shows the inbound and the outbound access lists that are set. So we can do, let's see, we can do that. And just perfect. But nonetheless, that's how we can do it. So lastly, for our last exercise, we're just going to create access lists in IP version 6. All right, so they don't come in standard and extended forms in the same way the IPv4 access lists do. So when defining these, we must define both the source and destination address or the network. So must be defined using a name, also not a number. So it's going to be configuring and modifying the IPv6 access list for this first task that we're going to do. So let's actually use a different browser. All right, so let's see. All right, so now I can see that the ping must traverse the edge one actually rather to get its destination. Um, so we need to create the IPv6 access list on edge one to deny traffic to the specific destination area for edge two. So we're going to name the access list in a moment. Then we're going to configure the destination address to the prior command that we just pinged to. So let's see. Go back to edge one. Let's actually get out of there. And we're gonna configure terminal, of course. Um, there we go. So now that's blocked. So now we can deny any post. Oh man, I wish I could copy and paste this. Perfect. All right. So perfect, man. So we're done with that. Let's put it out there. Put it out of there. So we denied any source with the specific host address, right, which is the address of the gigabit 01. So let's actually do something else here. So okay. All right, so at this point, the access list has just been defined, right? So it's not been applied anywhere, so filtering doesn't take place. So we must find this access to an interface and define a direction, as I mentioned before, right, with IPv6. So we're going to place the access list 01 in an outbound direction. So let's actually look at the terminal again. All right, so let's do this here. Yep, and IPv6 to now we're done. All right, perfect. So let's notice a few things. So the version 6, right, the access list is a much more logical name for the command to apply the access list to the interface. So the traffic filter is actually a bit more intuitive than access group, what we use for IPv4. So next, we're actually going to try to ping the gigabit 01 interface for edge 2 from the edge 1 router once again. So let's actually do this here. IPv6. 31, right? All right, perfect. So, yeah, timed out. So, I think it's unsuccessful, right? So we successfully created the IPv6 access list that denies the specific host. So usually a ping response of I think a quadruple or quintuple amount of A's means that the destination is administratively unreachable. So this is a response that the version 6 indicates when an access list has been blocked to the destination. So um, let's see what we can do here. Um, I think this might work. Mm, yeah, I don't think this is right. Yeah, all right. All right, so I was trying to generate a particular message, but the syslog message is not going to indicate it. Not only the access list that was invoked, but also the sequence number of the lined up master package. So the access list to block the edge 2 and the sequence number is 10, right? See that here. And the version 6 access list manipulation is similar to the name list that we did in IPv4. With slight changes in the syntax, really, so we can actually experiment a bit. I'm not going to do that in this video, but in general, we can. But specifically, we add a line that denies all of the 2001, Jazz AB31 things that for the subnet, right? As the destination between the two existing lines. To do so, we have to examine the access list, right? So let's actually do this here. Okay, so let's actually okay. So let's see that here. Oh no, didn't mean to do that. All right, so in the prior one, the sequence number 15 should place the 9. Should be the line in between the existing lines. So to view it again, since I've followed everything, let's see, 6, do that there. That's should be 15, but the line has been successfully placed between the previously existing lines, so we've successfully created and configured the version 6 access list, right? So that brings us also to the end of the video, right, for configuring and verifying IPv4 and 6 access lists for traffic filtering. Excuse me. So just for a brief recap, we went over a few things to configure standard and extended access lists. For version 4, we configure access lists for version 4 as well. We configured and modified version 6 for those access lists as well. This was definitely fun. On the next video, we're going to be analyzing some network traffic with Wireshark. That's going to also be a fun video. I'll see you there. Stay curious, stay secure.